Hey guys, Team Vision Colorado. This is Lindsay in Los Angeles, and today we have Brian Frazier in Chicago with us for our Legacy live stream. And guys, just a reminder, man, you are on a mission that is changing the world, and I know that it is changing your life. And you might be feeling achy and sore today. You might be feeling great today. You might be nervous about some phone calls that you want to make with your fundraising. You might be amped up about a donation you just received. But these 10 to 15 minutes that we get together every week, I want them to be encouraging and inspiring to you that you are doing great things and we've got your back. So logistically, we're with you, in prayer that we're with you, and if any questions that you have, whether they be training or fundraising or missionally oriented, we are a team. So we are going to go farther together and get this done and end this clean water crisis and get people to the finish line and into good health. So 15 minutes every week together. Last week, as you might recall, I really pumped this quote to you. This is Brian, who we have on the call today. But before we see Brian, this is the quote I gave you guys last week by St. Francis of Assisi, one of my favorites. Start by doing what is necessary, then what is possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. So again, if you're sore today or excited today and feeling great, no matter what, every day we start with what is necessary. And with fundraising, guys, whether you've already got $1,000 in the bank or you've just got $1 on your fundraising page, what is necessary, what we talked about last week, is that you have a goal that you believe in, that you have a goal that you've prayed about, that you've thought about, that you believe in, and then you can do what is possible. You can invite everyone you know into that vision, whatever that might be, to hit that goal and to change that many lives through clean water. And before you know it, impossible things will happen. People that you never think would donate will. It is incredible to see how that happens. So as you start with what's necessary today, and we hear from Brian, and we're doing what's possible, my prayer for you is that the impossible, what we think is impossible, starts to become a reality. Quick reminder for you, that impossible can become a reality really fast with our Colorado boost because of Vanguard Skin Specialists. Guys, some people have already been crushing this. Our next boost update date, when you actually will see boost on your page, is August 1. So if you hit any of these first goal markers, any of these by August 1, you're going to receive a $1,000 boost, which means 20 more kids will get clean water. Just because you hit that mark, which means then you are very close to those next incentive levels that Team World Vision provides, whether it's all-star or hero, superheroes at 5,000. But we want to come alongside you and say, hey, what goals do you have and how can we help you get there? And really, the impossible can happen. This boost is incredible. So take advantage of it. August 1st is our next date. And then September 1st, you'll see your next boost come onto your page if you hit any of these levels. So you can keep on going after bigger and better things. And some of you guys know kind of the ultimate goal that we shoot for with Team World Vision and even beyond, but on the scale of incentives is what we call legacy, Team World Vision Legacy, which means that you hit $10,000 within a calendar year and provide 200 people with clean water. And if that is not cool enough for you guys, huge announcement. We are going to have a legacy getaway for anyone who has hit this legacy goal by December. You are invited to join Team World Vision and Ashton Eaton and Brianne Eaton in Southern California for a weekend getaway. Guys, I know you guys in Colorado know all about Olympians and what's happening, but Ashton is the world record holder in the decathlon, and he is coming in, as is his wife, coming into the Olympic Games. Ashton representing the United States, Brianne representing Canada, as the number one, I guess the number one, what would you say, Brian, athlete to win?
Medal contenders, yeah, gold medal contenders.
Right on. So if you guys hit legacy by December, and with that boost, it's very possible you guys are more than welcome and invited, and we're going to get you all the details to come down to Southern California and hang out with Ashton and Brianne, hopefully with 2 gold medalists. Incredible stuff. Their hearts are like gold. They are wonderful people. They love this mission, and they'd love to hang out. So that's out there for you. Any questions, we can get you some details. But now to the meat of the morning or the afternoon as you guys are eating lunch. This is Brian Frazier, and he is with us today. I'm going to switch over to him in the live right now. This is Brian. Guys, Brian is been running for years now with Team World Vision. He's run Dallas and Chicago and Hood to Coast, and just recently, many of you guys recognize him because he ran Comrades with us, that 56-mile ultra marathon in South Africa. And after that, he visited Rwanda. So this is Brian in the flesh, the guy that created that epic video for us to show us what's happening in Rwanda right now. So not only does this guy have a heart of gold and is just chasing after what God's given him to do and using everything he's got to do it, but just a little insight. Brian just told me his first race with Team World Vision was in Dallas, and he raised $250. And since then, guys, he has now raised over $100,000 lifetime with Team World Vision. And I don't know about you guys, but that seems a little nutso. Like, how did that happen? $250 to $100,000. Brian, you've got a crazy story there, my friend. And I guess just to start with, thanks for being here. And why do you run with Team World Vision? What fuels you to do what you're doing?
Yeah, you know, and I think I can really relate to probably a lot of your ADT Colorado Springs peeps. You know, I was definitely one of those serious runners before I ever got into Team World Vision. I was all about the next PR, whether it was from the 5K up to the marathon. It was all about the time. It was all about my training. What coach was I with? What program was I on? So you can hear a lot of me's and my's in those sentences, and you know, in the end, what really happened was God broke my heart. Like you mentioned, the first time I ever raised money, for a race with Team World Vision, was $250 at Dallas, and I was even running. I was even working for World Vision at that point. I was in the microfinance group and had a heart for what God was doing with the poor, but I was so not ready to share that with others and keep it to myself. It was my thing. It was my calling. It wasn't a calling to be shared. And I didn't get it. I didn't understand until later, once God had broke my heart. And so for me personally, it was reading about Lopez Lemong's story. His story is the one that crushed me. I was reading his book on an airplane on my way to over to Africa, working with World Vision, and was on the plane, and you know, suddenly just realized somehow God cracked open my heart, and the light switch went off. It made sense for me that the same passion that I had for training every day and for excellence in my running, I had to pour that out into the fundraising. Kids needed that. They deserved that. And unless I was going that hard after it in the same way, then it just wasn't enough. So yeah, that's how it happened for me.
So how does that for you translate into the logistics of fundraising? You know, I mean, a lot of us are passionate. We want to see a change, but like you said, we're scared to ask. Yep. We don't know how. So could you give us some insight into some things that have worked for you with your fundraising?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, you know, I'm an engineer by trade, by background. And so the first thing I knew was, you know, it's really easy to get overwhelmed with a mountain when you're looking at it, but a mountain is made up of many small steps. And so I had to think through what were the next small steps that I needed to do to add up together to make, to get towards my goal. And so I did something really easy at first. I just created a list of 10 people that I knew, who I knew cared about me and trusted me, trusted something that I would talk to them about. And then I did something as simple as, especially in the day that we live in the technology age, I I wrote them a letter and sent it in the mail and put the stamp on it and sent it in and told them what was going on. And I have found over now many years of doing this too, is that before gimmicks, before videos, before Facebook, before Instagram, my personal relationships mean more to my fundraising than anything else. So I'm not thinking through gimmicks, or I'm not thinking through what's the next thing I can come up with in order to get more people to donate. I'm thinking about the people that care about me, that will be inspired by me. So it may not even be somebody I have that close of a relationship with yet, but I know that if they see what's going on and what God is doing in my life, it's going to mean something for them, and it could mean something for them. And so I'm ready to tell them my story, and however my relationship looks like with that person. And it's not begging, it's not asking for money, it is asking them to come and partner with what God is doing, and with a need that I know that they're going to believe in the same way that I do, and inviting them to come and be a part. I have a support team now. In the same way that a missionary has a support team, I have people that are praying for me. I have people that are sending me messages or telling me that they're praying for me. They're invested, and they want to be invested. This is more than just a transaction. This is more than just an ask for money. This is about relationships, and it's about going deeper with people, because my personal transformation story does not look that much different than theirs either. Because this, for them, they may not be able to run a marathon, they may not be able to go out and do a race, but they want to be involved in some way, and they're inspired by what I'm doing. And that takes humility to figure that out. I don't know that people always understand that. That sounds like if you say that out loud, it can be proud, and it's not. It takes realizing that this is more than just about ourselves. This is about what God's doing in us, and accepting the fact that God is doing an amazing work in your life, whether you like it or not. The fact that you signed up to do this race is more amazing than sometimes we think about on a daily basis. And we have to accept that God has called us to do amazing things. So I know that may sound a little bit lofty, but it's now drilling that down into the more practical stuff with my personal relationships, following up. If I see people are interested, then I am following up with them one-on-one, whether it's text message, whether it's a follow-up email, whether it's a follow-up Facebook message, something, depending on my relationship with that person. And I have a list, I have a spreadsheet of people that I have those relationships with, and what is the status of my follow-up. And I have to be diligent in that, person by person, what's the status. Otherwise, we can miss out. And like you were saying before, you just never know. The story I tell people too, the first year I raised money for Hood to Coast, and God had really, flipped that switch on for me. I had set my goal at $5,000. And when the very first week I set that goal for $5,000, I made an ask, and I was just telling my story. That's all it was. And I was telling that person that goal. That person walked away and wrote me a check for $5,000. And wow. I was completely floored, and realized that God's vision and dreams were just so much bigger than mine, and that what he was doing in my life was so much bigger than for others around me than I had even realized, in the way that I was inspiring others and had no idea. So those are the practical things. You have to look at it now, person by person, making a list, following up with those people one by one, until the end. And you never know who's gonna pop up and show up on that list when you never expected them to at the beginning.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and for being personal. I think ultimately that's where God grows us, and grows other people, is when we're willing to actually be real with each other. And so there are a lot of asks out there in the world for places to invest time and to invest money, and they're not all good. Most of them ask a lot of us, commercially or from a consumer basis, and we're actually offering people an opportunity to do something that's going to outlive them and save lives and change lives. And a true investment. And that took me a long time to realize that this isn't a problem. You know, we're not bugging people at all, like you said. We're letting them do something awesome. And by letting, I mean just inviting people in, you know, because it's possible, you know. And that's what I love about the water crisis, is that it is a crisis, but it is a solvable problem, and we're doing it. So thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Lindsay. I had meant to add on, you know, as we were preparing for the call, and you know what God was doing on my heart more recently. I shared about my story about Lopez. That was the early one, but God has really been wrecking me in the last, you know, ever since my trip to Comrades into Rwanda, over one important issue that he's really got me sitting in, that I think will also resonate with other people watching the video too. And that is, on my trip to Rwanda, God really made it clear to me the amount of time that it takes to walk 6 kilometers out to get dirty water and bring it back. As I was meeting with a couple of the girls that are in the video and seeing their lives, the amount of time we're talking, it's not, you can't get this done in an hour. Like, we go out, you get the water, you bring it back. We're talking many, many hours a day that are doing. So what does that translate into? That translates to time away from school. It translates to, you know, you're already bringing back dirty water, so the kids are getting sick. So now they're missing multiple weeks of school. And what does that mean practically? And what I saw were 10-year-old girls, 11-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls who were having to be the mothers of the household because of the responsibility that they were taking. They weren't allowed to be kids anymore because they weren't able to be in school. This was taking away their childhood. Dirty water takes kids away from their childhood. They can't be kids. So I was, you know, meeting with this girl, Florence, and realizing she's 13 years old and she has never been a child up until, you know, from the time that she was 5 or 6, she's out getting water up until she's 13, and she realizes she's lost she doesn't even know what it had meant to be a kid. And that has really broken my heart. I have 4 kids myself who have they have the benefit of being children and enjoying their childhoods. These kids don't. And that really broke me. It still has me emotional today, and willing to continue to fighting for to raise more money and save more lives.
Yeah, it's worth it. You know, every step is worth it. Well, Brian, thank you so much for your time. Guys, as far as an action step, I know it's a lot sometimes to hear somebody tell their story and give tips, and then you maybe didn't write any of this down. Well, 1, you can go back and you can watch it again. But 2, just 2 action steps for you. And I think, you know, Brian made it clear with his story, and I made it clear in the beginning. You know, pick a goal that you feel like you are called to, or that you are convicted to go after. And remember, it's about lives, not about dollars. How many kids do you want to have clean water? And go after that, and then do what's possible. Get personal. And that's my challenge to you this week. Your 2 action steps. Set that goal and personally invite people in. So your first step is find that list and write everybody down. And then, like, you know, like Brian, you could write letters or you could do emails. But guys, stay away from the mass emails. That's one thing I've learned, is that might be a place to start. But honestly, you know when you're on a mass email. I'm going to go ahead and venture to say you might not read it. Because I can tell you I don't read all of my mass emails for sure. But when I get a personal email, I do. So guys, those are my 2 action steps and challenges for you this week. Go after a goal that is yours, own it, and personally invite people into this journey with you. So you guys, you know that we're with you, we're praying for you, we love you, we hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. See you next week.